Hi, welcome to A Week in Weatherfield, the Coronation Street review show presented by two people who've just been fighting over a bird feeder. I'm David Brown.
And I'm Sarah Doran.
This week's headlines: Speed Dial opens its doors.
New additions.
And farewell Kate Oates. Okay, well the big news was that we actually saw for the first time Imran and Rana, the first two characters to walk from the old set to the new set, and they stood outside Speed Dial, the restaurant, where everybody suddenly went for their lunch.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, this is open, great, I'm just going to go in here straight away. Poor Roy.
Yes.
What's going to happen to Roy's rolls?
And I thought Robert at the bistro seemed very chilled out, despite the fact that all of his business has presumably been taken by this new up-and-coming eatery.
Well, pop-ups, they're all the rage these days. Will it be a pop-up?
Well, the fact is that Zidane, as we know, isn't going to be on the show for much longer, so why should we be invested in his new venture?
I mean, it just seems like, it's one of those trendy restaurants that, in 2 weeks' time, you'll look at the boards up because they haven't made enough money.
I noticed that there was kind of like a fire escape set of steps running down the side of the building.
Yeah.
I think in 6 months' time, someone's going to be hanging off those in some kind of cliffhanger. You don't put stairs there for there not to be a stunt at some point.
No, there's got to be some reckoning that will require somebody to climb up there.
But of course, he couldn't have like an opening first day without incident.
No.
And first of all, we found out that it had flooded the kitchen. But I didn't see any evidence of that later on.
No, it all seemed to dry out very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I'd like to speak to whoever he hired for that.
And then he was hugging Rana and thinking that he was going to get back with her all of a sudden. Do we like this love triangle between Rana, Kate and Zidane?
Do you know what? I don't think I'm really invested in it at all. I am far more interested in the hospital radio triangle.
That's the one to watch, isn't it? We're talking Audrey, Jeff and Yasmin. Mm-hmm. I think there's going to be some scratching of eyes next week over the affections of Jeff.
Jeff was just giving Yasmin a little too long of a lingering look.
Yeah.
Yasmin, my darling, watch your back.
Yeah.
I'm no Jonathan Hughes. But I do love his David, my darling, so I'm going to try it. I apologise.
It was not bad, actually. Yeah, Johnny, watch out. So, with the Speed Dial, also, we had a new addition to the cast in Kayla, who apparently, so Kate Oates was telling me the other month, is going to be causing trouble for Bethany and Craig.
Yeah, well, right, I really liked her. I thought she was great, really
Sparky,
plucky, quite fun. But it really reminds me of Maria, Fizz and Tyrone way back in the day. It feels like that same this is the new generation's Maria, Fizz and Tyrone for me,
I like the way you say Tyrone. You say it like Terry Duckworth used to say it. Yeah.
Tyrone.
Yeah. And there was another love triangle. I just thought the Adam Barlow, Jude and Angie. Do we think Angie might be falling for Adam Barlow as well? I thought, that might be one to watch as well. So perhaps a few romances kind of being cooked up.
They'll all need oysters. Rosie wants some oysters. They're an aphrodisiac. Maybe they're going wild on the street.
That's the new summer storyline. Yeah. And we also had Emma as well, who started work at the salon and then ended up in David Platt's bed 2 days later.
You feel like it's a little bit scandalous, but it's also quite sad as well because you're seeing David just really struggling to cope and he's doing the most erratic things and you're just like, oh, it's so hard to watch. But when I say hard to watch, I mean obviously brilliantly portrayed in that it's hard to watch because you just kind of want...
But traumatic.
To do something, yeah.
Well, he will speak out soon. I spoke to Jack P. Shepherd the other week and he said that he will tell Shona in the weeks ahead. So David won't be suffering in silence for much longer. Okay, well, I mean, it was a kind of quite quiet week on Corrie. There wasn't kind of much drama on screen, I thought, but behind the scenes there was a lot going on. First of all, Jim McDonnell coming back.
Oh, I'm so excited for Big Jim's return.
Out of the big house.
I hope he has his double denim from way back in the day. He was one of my... I mean,
that was a brave choice.
Can you really say that like a wife-beating horrible man was one of your Corrie highlights, when you were a child? Well, but he was.
He was a type, wasn't he? He was kind of like the Len Fairclough type, and then Owen, who came after, they're the kind of unreconstructed male, aren't they? So I'm sure Jim will be a welcome addition. But we also have a departure in producer Kate Oates is leaving. I just want to say that although the two things, the controversial storylines and Kate going, have kind of been conflated in the press, it's not actually true. It was Kate's decision to leave, and any suggestion that she was pushed is not the case. But what have we made of Kate's era on Corrie?
I mean, I quite enjoyed her era of Emmerdale. I think it was one of the times I came back into soap. I'd watched it a lot as a child. I had faded out for a couple of years and came back in. And what she did with Emmerdale was incredible, with the helicopter through the roof and that brilliant Val exit. And then she came to Corrie and she really put it back on the front page, whether it was for good headlines or for bad. And she got people talking, and I know from speaking to a lot of colleagues, she's really made them fans of the show again. She's given them characters they can be invested in. She's given them storylines they can enjoy. And she's brought kind of an almost element of reality, like such reality to it. You know when they say the best comedy is rooted in reality?
Yeah.
I feel like she's done that with not only the comedy on Corrie, but also the drama. And she's just made it more accessible to somebody who wouldn't have watched long term, who can dip back in and out as well.
Yeah, I think she's brought in a younger audience, especially with the Bethany storyline. I mean, we have to remember that when Kate took over as well, I didn't think Corrie was in a very good place.
No.
They'd had things like the body under the floorboard storyline and that dreary minibus crash which left Sinead paralysed for a fortnight. I thought that when Kate came in, the stories became more long term. You had heroes to root for, you had villains that you could boo, and I think it really did a good job in trying to keep pace, not only with the 9 p.m. dramas, but also with Netflix, where people can watch TV shows whenever they want these days. Yeah. Why should they watch Coronation Street? You know, if it's not going to become an irrelevance, it has to keep pace with those programs. Okay, so the storylines were quite dark, but I don't think that it was at the expense of the humour. I think some of the comedy was still there. So I say bravo, Kate, really, for kind of doing what you've done. And we look forward to seeing what Ian McLeod has got planned, because the BAFTA-winning Ian McLeod, you know, on Emmerdale. So I think the good times will continue. So join us in 7 days' time to find out whether this is the case. We'll be back with another Week in Weatherfield.